Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to today's happy hour, Heritage Beyond the Horizon, featuring New Brunswick. I'm super excited to be here today to share with you a little bit of my journeys that I went on a couple months ago in the beautiful province of New Brunswick. My name is Zach Anderson. I am the Business Development Manager at Anderson Vacations. I have been in this role for just about over a year now. Many of you might have known our former BDM, Darcy Gorderas, who was the actual creator of the happy hour. So I'm really excited to be carrying on her legacy. This is actually an old picture of myself that I actually went with Darcy a couple of years ago. We got to hold a 4-pound lobster and see the beautiful province once again. So just a little bit of a housekeeping before we get started, as many of you folks might have joined us before. So please ask any of your questions in the chat box. We have 3 lovely folks there. We have Tiara, Jesse, and Marcy. Marcy is the host, or was my host from Tourism New Brunswick. So she's there to answer any questions, and she is the expert today. And then as well, too, please let us know where you're from. So comment in the chat box, let us know where you're from and where you're listening from today. I'm in Winnipeg today. That's where I'm actually raised at the moment. And then as well, what are you drinking? I'm having this lovely beverage. I'll talk a little bit about more of it on the next slide after this. And then lastly, before I forget, we are going to be asking 3 questions at the end, and these are going to be your ticket to getting one of those 2 seats on a FAM or being entered towards that chance to win. So basically, pay attention throughout, and we'll be asking 3 questions about this, and that is your ticket to once again get one of those FAM seats. So let's begin. So, as I mentioned, this is the drink of choice today. This is Gin Thua. I'm having a gin and tonic. It's from Distillery Fils de Roy. And we'll be talking more about this later, but cheers, everyone. Thanks for joining today. And let us know what you're drinking, alcoholic or non-alcoholic. That's totally okay. It's almost 5 o'clock here, so I think I'm ready for one. So just a quick land acknowledgement before we get started. We acknowledge that the land we'll explore during the New Brunswick Happy Hour is part of the traditional territories of the Wolastoqiyik, Mi'kmaq, and Passamaquoddy peoples who have been stewards of these lands for generations. We are grateful for the opportunity to learn about their rich culture and history as we share the beautiful and heritage of the land we call New Brunswick. And as well, I'm super excited to be sharing this with you folks. We've recently joined the Indigenous Tourism Reconciliation Fund. So basically, every single time that you make a booking with Anderson Vacations for one of your clients, we donate 50 cents per client that you booked towards this fund. And this fund is basically there to help either newer Indigenous tourism businesses or ones that have been around to really help them get the infrastructure they need or really grow to get to the next level. As we like to use many of these, suppliers and businesses in some of our itineraries, as I'm going to show you along the way. So welcome to New Brunswick, folks. Look at the beautiful fall scenery. This is exactly what it was like when I was just leaving there a couple months ago. And this is a little bit of the journey that we went on. So basically, we flew into Moncton. That is typically the hub of where you will fly into when you are coming to New Brunswick. And then basically from there, we did a little day trip to Hopewell Rocks, which is very well known, or as otherwise known as the Bay of Fundy area too. And then we went back up to Moncton, did Elsipogtog First Nation and Bucktouche, then went all the way up to Metepenagiag First Nation and Miramichi. And then we finished our journey in Shippegan and Caraquet for the Acadian Day festivities that I'll be sharing a little bit more after this as well.
Here we are in Shediac, the lobster capital of the world.
So that's Shediac. That is the world or Canada's biggest lobster. If you can see right there, it's absolutely massive in Shediac, New Brunswick. And then just to kind of talk about other classic activities. So on the left here, that's the Bay of Fundy. And that's basically where you can go to the Hopewell Rocks and see the water rise. So you can start in the morning and go for a walk on the actual sand beach. And then within a couple hours later, you can do a kayak experience where you're actually on that same spot, but 3 or 4 feet above in the water, which is just incredible. And then as well, some amazing whale watching opportunities too. How can we not talk about the food when you're going out to the East Coast, especially to New Brunswick? I know I'm a huge seafood guy. I think I had seafood probably every single meal when I was there. Lobster, especially if you are. So, on the left here, these are just some oysters, some amazing lobster dip, some fish and chips, some lobster chowder, just to die for. So if you have, clients that are looking for a high quality food experience, New Brunswick is the place to go. Getting around. So New Brunswick is a very drivable place. We did a self-drive when we're there, but we also do offer escorted group tours. And then we also can create custom groups as well along the way. So there's many ways to kind of get around and see. And then as well too, we offer many boutique hotels. So this is one in Miramichi, and this is called The Rod. And as you can see, I'm about to show you the beautiful view here, looking out onto the Miramichi River. Just absolutely stunning. And that bridge there too is one of the icons of the area on the Miramichi River. So just an amazing view out your window there. And then this is in Caraquet, another idea of just some of the boutique hotels that we use. And this is basically a 1890s hotel called Hotel Paulin. And as you can see, it has some of the oldest amenities, but they're really well kept, and it's just absolutely stunning. This is probably actually one of my favorite hotels that I've ever stayed in because it was just so unique in its own way. And then as well, one of the first stops we made on our journey was Magnetic Hill Winery. So this is basically a winery at the top of Magnetic Hill, looking over Moncton, and it's a beautiful place, for couples to celebrate per se, for groups to kind of come in. There's group spaces as well to rent out, so we can put together a custom group for your clients, or some of our escorted groups as well that we're working on at the moment. So I'm actually gonna share a little video after this of the owner, Zach, and he's gonna tell you a little bit about his property.
Hello, bonjour, guys. I'm Zach, co-owner and winemaker here at the Magnetic Hill Winery in the beautiful Moncton, New Brunswick. Can't wait to see all of you and your guests here as we try to create a brand new wine region, growing grapes on the ocean, combining beaches and seafood and wine next to world-class lobster and all the beautiful things that Southeast New Brunswick and the Maritimes have to offer. Our history started off as strawberry farmers 20 years ago, trying to survive as strawberry farmers, making wines out of all of the local traditional fruits of the area. And then we also got inspired to try our hand at growing grapes. And it's been an amazing kind of 20 years of juggling, making all the beautiful wine out of local fruits, and then now really valuing and pioneering a wine region out of grapes here too. So really can't wait to see you and your guests enjoying some wine tasting, some charcuterie, maybe even a guest house stay as we share some of our stories of our journey with you and them in a kind of pretty nice setting. So cheers, guys.
Yeah, absolutely stunning, as Zach had mentioned. Here's some of the wines, and like he said, they started with fruit wines. They actually started with strawberry wines and other types, and then eventually moved to grape wines. So because New Brunswick isn't really well known for its grape growing at the moment, but like Zach said, he's working on it and trying to make it a destination for that. And this is some of the areas that you can rent out for groups per se, for a private dinner if you wanted, things like that. And then as well as he mentioned, there's also accommodations on site too. So many things to see here. And then as well, some of our Indigenous heritage. So yeah, come explore with us kind of some of the opportunities that we do have and some of the suppliers that we work with. So this is one of the stops that we made. This is Elsipogtog Heritage Path. And it's basically a medicine walk that you do with some of the community members. And I'll kind of show you a little video here once again to kind of explain what we did here and just show you firsthand. So this is our lovely hosts here, and they're wearing their beautiful ribbon skirts, as you see. And they're kind of just gonna walk us through their beautiful forest that the Elsipogtog people have been using forever.
Wigwam, traditionally used for things like privacy, labor, storage, and as you see on the outside here, it's made of this amazing birch bark. Just incredible.
In the wintertime, we would move deeper into the woods as covering from any harsh weather conditions. Whereas the wigwam, we would take our wigwams closer to the river and by the ocean so we can fish. This was a permanent structure, and this structure is much smaller than they would have been. Back in the day, they would have been 80 by 18 feet long.
Wow.
And
even extensions.
And here we are going inside one of the wigwams, and you can see these are the beds that they would have slept in way back in time. And I don't imagine they would be too comfortable, but they would have done the job. And then here's just the beautiful canopy you see. It's just absolutely so peaceful as you journey through.
We used to use moss to line the inside of baby moss bags. We used to put our babies on cradle boards and attach the moss bag, and that's how we used to hold our babies. And let's say a baby soiled the moss bag. They take the baby out, clean up the baby, take out the soiled moss, put in new moss, something like a disposable diaper. The blisters are filled with a sap that has antiseptic properties. And interesting fact, the balsam fir is actually the provincial tree of New Brunswick. And some of us may know it as the Christmas tree.
And then another neat thing that we didn't talk about in this video, but I was told in this tour that basically folks from generations before would have stepped on smaller trees that would have basically brought it down into a curve, almost like a canoe. And then that over 100 years, that tree would have grown naturally into that curve, and they would have used that as canoes for the next generation coming forward. So just the thoughtfulness that was in these communities for the generations to come, it was just a really amazing tour to be a part of. And then as well, right after this, we went to Metepenagiag Heritage Center, and this was a really awesome opportunity to learn once again about the Mi'kmaq peoples, look at the heritage site in itself, and then we also got an opportunity to cook Bannock under a fire. So we'll be sharing a little bit about that as well in this next video.
As you can see behind me, this is an old ancient burial grounds that has been recreated, and it's about 10 or 11 feet high here. And as you can see, that's about 3,000 years old, the grounds there that they're finding the fossils in, and the burials as well. It's incredible.
Statistically, there are only a couple 100,000 Mi'kmaq people in the entire continent. We are a very small amount of people compared to the billions. And then you look at the percentage of people that speak the language, that's more around 7% to 8%, depending on what years you look at. Fluctuates up and down, but that being said, you math it out, only a couple dozen thousand people, only a couple dozen thousand out of billions in the world can speak our language. And I myself, I can't speak it fluently. I wish I knew how to speak it fluently, and I wish I grew up speaking it. But this is why this is so important. So we can teach the younger generation, teach ourselves, and teach each other how to speak the language, to bring it back and whatnot, because if we don't speak it, if we don't practice it, it's lost.
And this is the beautiful Heritage Center, as I was saying before. There's just amazing art, old artifacts and tools that have been used by the Mi'kmaq folks that have been there for thousands of years. And this is Marcus. He's actually a community member and a family member, and he's pointing out his cousin there to us because that's how connected they are, and just some of the memorabilia that would have been used, during the times for, special folks. And then once again, this is a birch bark canoe. So kind of talking back before how they would have made those, sometimes they would have actually, pushed the tree down and basically over time, let it turn into this canoe shape. And then here's, some of the other, tools that would have used to survive back in time as well too. And then this is the Bannock making experience. So this was really, really unique. I'm a big foodie. So for myself, this was one of those experiences that was nice to get a hands-on and get involved with it.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a good one. All right, so welcome to our fire. We've had this fire going since pretty much an hour before you guys showed up here. And we need to have these fires going for that amount of time, especially with the past rain that happened, and we needed a lot of extra time to burn that sand there, because we're going to be using this sand just like a furnace, and with a hole in the middle, like a volcano. Okay, got it. Yeah.
And Marcus was a great
Now, the
host.
reason why
He
we
was
have that
teaching me the
hole there
ways.
is because it helps collect a lot of the water and whatnot to start making the initial dough. So I'm going to start pouring it in slowly. And now you can start mixing. So go all around, mix it around and whatnot. Yeah, it's coming together real well.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect, perfect. You know all the strategies.
Not my first rodeo, I guess.
Yep. That being said, yeah, you're definitely going to want to make it into a real smooth consistency, kind of like a big fat pancake in the bottom.
Okay.
And I'll let you finish that up while I prepare the fire. Okay. As you guys can see, there's a lot of red hot coals just right there. Oh, this is perfect consistency. It doesn't even stick to my hands or anything. Okay. Just put it in like that. Now, start going through the effort of covering it with sand. And what this does is the second this dough touches the sand, it creates a type of shell almost, a special sand shell. And this sand is so hot, it'll immediately react to make that shell crust so that it pretty much cooks like an oven with none of the sand getting in. So that's hot.
Yeah.
I see. Just inspect the bread real quick. I can give a good analysis based on how it feels, how it sounds. Pretty cooked well because you can see crispy brown.
There's some fish that we ate that was quite fresh as well too. So really awesome experience. So basically in the end, you get to learn how to make the Bannock yourself and then go back inside and eat some fresh fish with the Bannock and some great jams that they made themselves too. So it's a really unique, really awesome experience that is, you know, once in a lifetime kind of opportunity to go and do. And then as well, our next stop after that was Olivier Soapery. So basically this is, you know, how they traditionally made soaps back in the day. So whether it be animal fat and lard, you know, all the way up to modern times, this is basically a place where you can learn about the history of that. And basically you can also do group tours. It's a great place for groups. FIT as well can go along the way and, you know, just buy some great souvenirs, do a little workshop on how to actually learn how to make soaps too, which I'll be showing you after this. And yeah, it just smelled absolutely amazing. You walk in there and it was just, oh, all of your senses were going off. It was amazing. And you can, yeah, learn about the history, as I mentioned, you know, buy some awesome products along the way, great gifts for your clients to get for their family back home and friends as well too. And there's the little heritage center that talks about the history of soap in New Brunswick. And then that's some of the little area there where they actually do the workshops. So this is great for groups. Like I said, they have groups coming through here often. We, you know, definitely can put stuff together for you or your clients, whatever you need. And then, okay, this is one of my favorite experiences. The Akadi Lumina. There's Lumina experiences all over Canada, but this one is one of a kind. It's so unique. As you can see actually on the right here, this is a hologram in the middle of the forest. So like there's nothing there. It's literally just a hologram on its own. So I'll show you a little video to give you a better idea because this one is just so cool. And you learn all about the Acadian culture as you go through this one. So Acadi or Acadi basically meaning Acadian. And they have interactive experiences. So this is a little tap dancing lesson. We got to participate in. Like I said, those are all holograms. So none of that is actually real. It's just images. You can put your hand right through it. Just like this one right here. And this is a must do, whether it be FIT or groups. This is something that you have to have on, you know, your New Brunswick itinerary. And it got really eerie. I know here I was closing my eyes a couple times and I jumped a couple times from the scares. And then at the end, once you make it through the entire walk, they have this beautiful area to have some bonfires, listen to live music, have a beverage or two. Just a great way to unwind after a long day. So that, like I said, is one of my, you know, favorite experiences that I did. It was so unique. And then Beaubear Island. So this is what we followed up with not much after. And Beaubear Island is basically historically known as a place where they did ship making back in the late 1700s. So this is exactly how the tour goes. You basically will meet at the center and you can go inside and walk around and, you know, learn about the history of the ship making, the Acadian folks that actually went and refuged there during the Indian and French War. So it was basically a very, you know, historical site that has a lot of, you know, great information on it. It's a Parks Canada center. When you go onto the island, there's a lot of, you know, areas for picnicking. As you can see here, it's hard to imagine, but in the late 1700s, there would have been, you know, 10 or 12 ships there that were being made. Just, yeah, which is incredible. And then here are just some of the most incredible views. And this is actually where, like I said, where the Acadians would have went into refuge and hid out during the war. So there's a lot of, you know, different things on the site. You'll see old buildings, you'll see old artifacts, things like that. Really, really unique site. Once again, there's, yeah, an old building. Really, really cool. And then, yeah, discovering Acadian heritage. So as I mentioned before, we were lucky enough to go on this journey during Acadian Week or an Acadia Day. So it was a big, big deal. And I'll be kind of showing some of the celebrations that we attended. So we were lucky enough to go to Shippegan, Miramichi, and Caraquet for all of the big festivities. Caraquet is basically the biggest one, where I'll be showing you right here. It's called the Taintamarre du Caraquet, and it's basically over 20,000 people.
Oh, we are the parade.
Will come for this one day to join this festivity. and it's just a blast. There's everyone with noisemakers. There's these awesome, different parades going on and mascots and all sorts of things, historical figures. It was definitely a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And as well, I should mention that I'd say 90% of the folks were speaking French here. So if you really want to feel like you're not in Canada, this is one of those places to go to. It was really unique. And then at the end of the day, they put on a festival or a concert that goes on basically from this point on until late. And it's just a blast. And it just seems like old friends are coming together to meet again. So yeah, it's a great local activity to be a part of. This happens on Acadia Day every single year. It's great for FIT. We're actually working on a group tour for this one, so stay tuned for that one. We'll be coming out with that one eventually. And then next after that, we did the kitchen party. This was once again one of my favorites. This experience had me in tears because laughter, but also just some of the storytelling was so heartfelt and so thoughtful. And Paul here is the founder of this little initiative, and it's basically Atlantic kitchen party. So the way it will work is it's great for groups, and the way it works is that he starts playing the music and your group will come in, and as your group comes in, they'll have teas and coffees and snacks, and they'll basically do storytelling and song and folk songs all night. It's just great to be a part of. And here's a little taste of kind of some of the songs and stories that you might hear.
And it's a song about a monk. This lady who's trying to entice this monk to dance. Monks are not supposed to dance, so she's offering him all sorts of things, including the ultimate of what a woman can offer a man.
Housekeeping,
no.
food.
And we never know whether he dances or not, because monks are not supposed to dance. Si Manuel voulait danser, pour ce qui je lui donnerai. Danse, tu n'entends pas la danse. Papa me voulait dans la rue, n'entends pas, me voulait marcher.
And Paul is one of the best storytellers that I have ever heard in my entire life. So this is one of those experiences that, your clients have to do when they're coming to New Brunswick, especially in Miramichi. And then, this is another great thing to do in Miramichi. This is the boat cruise that we went on. So kind of just to give you an idea of what this cruise looks like. And it just goes right down the Miramichi River with just some stunning views. They actually have the local history teacher as the actual tour guide on this as well too. So he's very knowledgeable and he's very friendly, he's open to any questions. And yeah, we were able just to kind of go down the river and just explore a little bit of the history, and just see some of the incredible views. That's the famous bridge, as you saw at that hotel room earlier at the Rod. And then shortly we'll actually be seeing the Rod from the back side as well too. So here it is, just a beautiful boutique hotel, just a great getaway. Awesome restaurant inside too. And then you can kind of boat ride into the sunset on the Sunset Miramichi River Boat Cruise. And then next is the Village Historic Acadian. So this is a great one as well too. This basically goes throughout the time of the Acadian history, starting in the 1790s all the way to the mid 1900s. As you can see, this is towards the end there as you saw the cars. Clearly this isn't the 1790s, but it basically takes you throughout time and shows you the ways that the Acadians had survived through centuries. And some of the tools that they used, some of the ways and techniques they used for food to store it. This is just some of the old materials they would have used for ship making even, and for fish catching. Here's a blacksmith. And yeah, you actually get to get the opportunity to see them in live action role play, really doing their thing, cooking. One of the most amazing things was this actually. This is a man making a broom. So he's actually just using a stick and he's just kind of carving it to make a broom. And then here, this is how they would have made their wool back in the day. To then have it colored. Oh, okay. And then attractions. So other things to do in New Brunswick. So the Aquarium of New Brunswick. And as you notice there, that is a blue lobster. So there's a 1 in 2 million chance of catching a blue lobster. So that is super rare. And keep that in mind, that might be a question for later, might not. So I'll give you a little hint there. And then as well too, you can see the amazing seal show too at this aquarium. And here's a little sneak peek as well, once again, of what goes on in the aquarium. Once again, the beautiful blue lobster They had a couple on site there, even though they are very rare. It's a great place for families, for groups, even FIT, especially, young kids. It's a great area to kind of go explore around and kind of let your kids give out some energy. And just some of the amazing, wildlife and sea life that does exist in the New Brunswick region. One that really, seems to blow my mind is the sturgeon. The sturgeon is very abundant in New Brunswick, and they seem to have them at, every museum. We were also actually able to go behind the scenes and get a little tour of all of the fish, the starfish. Yeah, get up nice and close. It was really, really unique. And then once again, that blue lobster, the 1 in 2 million chance of catching one. And then the orange as well is quite rare. And then beach and lobster. So this is actually just a fun thing to do. So as a self-drive, you can absolutely just go and stop into a fishery, grab a frozen or a cold lobster on ice, and go and crack it on the beach. So that's exactly what we did. Along the journey, we had our wonderful host, Marcy, as I mentioned, taking us around. And, sometimes we just see a beach and we wanted to stop. Yeah, and we just wanted to stop and hang out and kind of put our feet in the water and dip our toes in the ocean. And this is one of those things, as your clients are doing self-drives, we had Anderson Vacations know all the hidden gems, to really kind of put together the perfect itinerary. We can put suggestions for beaches, for, fisheries and places to stop along the way if they wanted to get fresh lobster. This is one of the last beaches that we went to, and we actually were able to stop and get some lobster, as you'll see coming up shortly here. So that's the beautiful lobster we had. We got it right. It was right off the ice, and the traditional way to eat it in New Brunswick is with no garlic butter, no lemon juice, just cold, right like that. Make sure it's upside down so you keep the juices in, so it's nice and fresh. And just like that, that's exactly how you eat it in New Brunswick. And then as well, our next stop after this was Phil's de Roy. This is actually where the drink I'm having today is from, Phil's de Roy Distillery and Brewery. And we have Sebastien on the left here, who is one of the most knowledgeable, folks I've ever met when it comes to spirits. And here he is kind of doing a little tasting with us.
The only difference between the two beers is the yeast. One is an ale, the other one is a lager. That's the only difference. This is the blanc ale. So ale are fermented, top fermentation. So you ferment on the top of the vessel. You do a crust. We use often the German word Hausen.
So we have these little poles that pop up throughout.
And it ferments at higher temperature, around 20 to 26 degrees Celsius. So the yeast will have will produce more byproduct.
And then this is actually how he started. So this is the first distillers he would have had back in time. And he kind of just showed us the process of how he's built throughout the years. And this is where he is now in modern times, and just makes some of the most incredible spirits I've ever had. I'm not a big gin drinker, to be honest, but this gin is absolutely delicious. It's very essential oily is kind of how he described it, where it really kind of comes through and it almost like awakens your senses. It was really, really, unique. And then just the bar itself has a lot of Acadian history. And they're really just proud of their culture. A lot of the bottles are actually named after Acadian folks, or just related to the history that does exist there as well too. And this is just a little map of the region that we're in from back in time. So as well, we actually started a new little segment called Hearing It From a Local. So we've decided to, maybe do a couple of interviews with some locals and ask them about their favorite hidden gems, or, kind of some of the best spots to go to. So yeah, here we go. This is actually the mayor of Shippegan, I should mention, on Acadia Day.
For me, my favorite part will be Shippegan. We're close to the water, the beach, if you like ocean, sightseeing, sunrises. We have beautiful place to visit here in Shippegan. We have the aquarium here in Shippegan. We have some beautiful restaurants as well. You can come and eat some local food. So meet people. So everything is just perfect. If you come, for sure go visit Cielo. Cielo is a little paradise here, not far from here, and I will give you a big overview of what you can discover. Water, food, ambience, people. You can go fish some mollusks as well. You can paddleboard. So I think Cielo is a place that you can't miss when you come here in Shippegan.
And that's from the mayor himself of Shippegan. So definitely great advice. And this was on Acadia Day. They were giving out free cake, doing a little festivity. So this is happening, all over northern New Brunswick. The further north you go, it really seems to get more into the festivities as well too. And then as well, this is actually one of the bartenders at O'Donoghue's. So it's actually one of the oldest bars or pubs in Canada.
Favorite part, probably in the summers, everything is boating around here, which is super nice. Winter, it's covered in snow, so you get the snowmobile pretty regularly.
Yeah.
Oh, in the area.
Yes.
I like going down Richie's Wharf. That's not so much hidden though. Everyone kind of knows about that.
Okay.
Harold's Cocktail Lounge is really fancy. It's kind of nice on the Newcastle side.
Right on.
Or just kind of going through French Fork Cove with your dog.
And then our last local, just to kind of talk about their favorite destination.
My favorite destination in New Brunswick would have to be the Akadi Lumina that's hosted just outside of the Pays de la Sagouine. It is very rich in Acadian culture. You get to walk through the forest at nighttime under an enchanted lit up sky. It teaches you a lot about the Acadian culture. There's some live music at the end. There's a bonfire. You can try out some Acadian food and it's just beautiful. It's a majestic experience. It's 100% my favorite destination in New Brunswick.
Like I said, that was also one of my favorite experiences. It's a must-do experience when coming to New Brunswick. And as usual, we decided to keep the traditional or the recipe in our happy hours here to kind of honor Darcy. So we are doing a traditional lobster recipe today, and all you really need is lobster, salt, water, ice, and a large pot. And basically what you're going to do is weigh your lobster and boil it to the time it says below. And then once you're done cooking it, you plunge it into ice water for about 10 minutes, and then you throw it in its back, and that basically makes sure that all the juices will stay in. And then from there, we basically just eat it as is. Like I said before, no garlic butter, no lemon juice. That is the New Brunswick way. So if you would like this one, please feel free to email us at the end and we can make sure that you do get this recipe, as this is actually not on the internet. This is from a local themselves. And then as well, we're very excited to also be a part of the Trees for Travel initiative. So we joined this partnership just at the beginning of this year. And basically the way it works is every single time you book a client with Anderson Vacations, we plant a tree on their behalf. So we have planted over 3,000 trees this year that we're very excited to be a part of. So yeah, we understand that there is an impact that you do on the world when you are traveling. So we want to try and, offset a little bit if we can. So yeah, we're excited to be a part of this. So know you are doing good when you are booking with Anderson. And then as well too, we have our cultural exploration FIT packages. All of them are 100% fully customizable. So, feel free to email myself or one of our agents on the other end, and they can basically put together the package from A to Z for exactly how your client wants it. And packages can include accommodations, activities, transfers, and more, with many sample itineraries available on our website. And then as well, our escorted tours and customized groups. So as I mentioned before, we're actually going to be working on an escorted tour that's going to be kind of themed with some of the things that you saw today, but that will be coming out probably next year, if not later. But then as well to our custom groups, we're able to put custom groups together all the time. If you have, things like book club groups, you have bird groups, any niche group, we can put that together for you. And those packages once again include accommodation, activities, meals, professional tour leader, and more. And then as well too, feel free to join or check into our online brochure. This is available on our website or as well through our travel agent portal. This is kind of your go-to spot if you do want information. So we do please highly recommend to sign up for this for anything Anderson Vacations. We are going to be updating this as well this year and maybe doing some revamping to kind of how it looks. So stay tuned on that as well. And then as well, the most important time, prize time. I know this is why many folks have come. So these are the questions I'm going to have you folks answer and then email us the answers. So to answer these questions, to be entered to win one of the two seats, please, once again, answer these questions, send us them in an email to happyhour@andersonvacations.ca. And the questions are, what color was the rare lobster at the aquarium? I mentioned it a couple times. It may be the same color as Anderson Vacations brand. It may not. I'm just going to put that out there. Question number 2. What kind of bread was cooked underground at the Metepenagiag Mi'kmaq Nation? So that was that little video where Marcus and I were hanging out there making something. What was that called? And then question number 3, what city is the world's biggest lobster located? That was that video where you saw me kind of giving a little salute just to give you a little hint there. So I'm going to leave that on the screen just for a couple minutes. But once again, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed our journey of New Brunswick. And yeah, I hope that you and your clients go and check it out because it is one of the most incredible places to go in Canada. And yeah, once again, thank you for joining us in the happy hour today. Cheers, folks. I'll leave this up so you can take your time to answer those questions. And my team and I will answer any questions in the chat box.